Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the nurseMARK and the Green Nurse Daily Dose of AFA, where we bring you hope, inspiration for growth and healing. That's right. We get you high every single morning. And who doesn't want to feel good? That's what we're here for. And so today, oh my gosh, I have an amazing co-host, my friend Masha Bellinson. Masha, welcome aboard.
Thank you, Mark. Good morning. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Let me read a little bit of your bio. So, you're founder and chief value officer for Extract Collective. You work corporate development for ACS Laboratory, which we'll talk about because we're going to talk about some flavonoids. It's Flavonoid Friday, and we're going to get deep in the weeds, so to speak, about that. But it says here, your roots were planted in the soil of technology and grew through a passion for building businesses in ever-changing markets. And so for over 15 years, which I find it hard to believe, Masha, you've been in the business that long? Nah.
Even longer.
You've resolved major challenges for Fortune 500 companies in areas of omni-channel marketing, e-commerce, application development, compliance, talent acquisition, resource planning, and brand activations. So right now, you're chief visionary officer and the founder of Extract Collective. And so your mission is to report on the science and innovation of all entheogens, unite like-minded business leaders, medical professionals, and curious citizens to break through the stigma and promote conscious market growth. Holy cow.
I know.
That's a lot. You're a busy girl. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Eric. What's up? Glad to see you here. All right, so Mosh, before we jump in, and it's exciting today because, we're going into the lab, so I got my lab coat on because this is a serious business here. Before we do that, you know what? We're going to do the daily love. I'd like to start off with a little bit of love, a little bit of wisdom from different areas. I pull from all sorts of different things. Carrie Lee, good morning. Sherry. Oh, Nurse Sherry. Is this the last day you're going to be gone? Because we miss you. Okay, so let's just go right to the daily love. And this comes from a book called Find and Use Your Inner Power by a guy named Emmett Fox. And I've studied Emmett's stuff for a long while now. You got to know something about me. I am a religious agnostic. I pull value from all the various religions and traditions. And in my personal opinion, it's all the same. It's just all man-made stuff, but there's the universal God behind it all. So that's my personal belief. This guy was a New Age Christian philosopher, and it's Emmett Fox. And so his stuff is sort of tinged with Christianity because that's the tradition he lived in. Anyway, this is what he has to say, and this is called Don't Force Things. Never force things. Never bring heavy pressure to bear in a given direction. Never make up your mind that a certain thing must be done or that it must be done now. All this sort of thing is dangerous and is likely to land you in trouble instead of improving matters. It is really using willpower and is unscientific and unspiritual. It is looking to the without, whereas spiritual demonstration looks to the within. It is what engineers call a centripetal action, and spiritual demonstration is always centrifugal. What you really want is harmony and true expression at every point in your life. The actual way in which this comes does not matter so long as you get the thing itself. When you encounter a firm resistance anywhere, it usually means that you are on the wrong road and had better retreat and try another. Mental or material pushing will only get you farther down the wrong road, and it gives you a longer distance to retrace. So, I got to tell you, I've had that experience myself where, I push down this road. I think that it needs to be this certain way, right? They call that outlining, right, Masha? We've learned about this.
Yep.
Call it outlining. So if I outline a problem in my life or a situation or a challenge and I say, geez, it has to be solved this way, I just killed every other possibility that could have been in existence. And today, I don't want to do that. So I think I'm just going to live in the world of all things are possible and not outline and just, live with a little bit of peace and harmony and true expression.
I
Yeah.
love that. That's
Yeah.
good. What you are seeking is seeking you.
That's right. Yeah. So don't go running in another direction.
No,
You might just
so you're going to
outrun.
miss what's seeking you.
That's
Yeah.
right. You might just outrun what's seeking you. Hey, good morning, Jamie. Welcome aboard. We get Jamie going today. Okay. So, Mosh, now here we are. It's a beautiful Friday where I'm at. I don't know. It's probably sunny where you're at too,
A
because you're
little cloudy, but
a
it's
little
okay.
cloudy today.
It'll be, it's Florida. So like if it could
Yeah.
be cloudy now and, in an hour, it'll be beautiful. So
Oh, of course. Yeah. Well, we're in New England this morning up here, and it's
yeah.
beautiful and it's cool and so good. So today, Masha, we're going to talk about what you've been doing with ACS testing. And really more specifically, let's talk about flavonoids, right? We're going to get into that. I guess we'll start off with just a little bit about what the hell are flavonoids, right? So I got a little bit I'll read here, and then we can dive in.
Mm-hmm.
So flavonoids are a diverse group of phytonutrients, plant chemicals found in almost all fruits and vegetables. Along with carotenoids, they are responsible for the vivid colors in fruits and vegetables. Flavonoids are the largest group of phytonutrients with more than 6,000 types. And some of the best known flavonoids, and we've talked about these, are quercetin and camphorol. So in recent years, scientists have turned to various flavonoids to explain some of the health benefits associated with diets rich in fruits and vegetables. Like other phytonutrients, flavonoids are powerful antioxidants with anti-inflammatory and immune system benefits. So diets rich in flavonoid containing foods are sometimes associated with cancer, neurodegenerative, and cardiovascular disease prevention. However, it is not yet clear whether the flavonoids themselves are responsible. Well, could be, right? All things are possible. So, where do we find them? Like onions, tea, strawberries, kale, grapes, Brussels sprouts, citrus fruits, parsley, and many spices have naturally occurring flavonoids. And so they're part of the polyphenol class of phytonutrients, and polyphenols have historically been used in Chinese and Ayurvedic medicine. And they're associated with skin protection, brain function, blood sugar, and blood regulation, in addition to those amazing antioxidant, anti-inflammatory properties. Holy cow. Can't get enough flavonoids in my diet. Woo-hoo-hoo. So, Mosh, what's going on with flavonoids? First, tell us about ACS testing, because it's a pretty cool company.
It's pretty cool. So yeah, so ACS Laboratory is so we're an ISO accredited, DA licensed, CLIA licensed. We got a whole bunch of other licenses. Laboratory. We're probably the largest testing lab in the eastern part of the US. We are a 20,000 square foot facility. We test cannabis, our favorite topic.
That's why we're here. Yeah, because guess what?
Of
Guess
course.
what, Masha? That's why we're talking flavonoids. Right. Cannabis has flavonoids in it.
Yep. So we test cannabis for maybe 70% of the market in Florida. And, for the MMTCs, the medical marijuana treatment centers. And then we test hemp from 49 states and 6 countries. Wow. So, of course, because cannabis is still federally illegal, we can only test in Florida. Right. Whereas hemp, they can send us samples from all over and they can ship it, and it's fine. So with hemp, it's a really, really big market. With cannabis, it's, Florida for now. And right. Which is still a pretty big market. So we're truly exclusive testing lab. Also Grow Healthy, VitaCan, GTI, Rise, the Flowery. I mean, a bunch. We test for a lot of really, really amazing brands. So, I say I'm so blessed. Like, I get to smoke weed for a living. Like, are you kidding? Did I actually?
That's a dream job that everybody wanted for the last 50 years.
It's incredible. I mean, literally, my job will be sometimes to go to a dispensary to, pick out a product and to see how easy is it to find the certificate of analysis, which is called a COA.
Why don't
We
we
know.
stop right there
Yeah.
before you get into that?
Yeah.
Let's tell people what a COA is and why it's important that we're having COAs with all the products.
Sure. So a COA is a certificate of analysis, and that is the result of the testing scope of for that, whether it's an extract or a flower or an edible. And so by law, so first of all, there are no national standards. That's really important to know, which is tricky because when there's not a national standard on how to test something, people wind up, they'll go to different labs and they'll get different results. So I've had
Because they use different methodologies, different
yeah,
equipment,
because they use, yep,
no standard, right?
no standard. So, what we do at ACS, we started in 2008 as a toxicology lab. And then eventually, when cannabis passed in Florida in 2015, Roger Brown, the president, he realized the opportunity in cannabis, and it was a lot of the same instruments and then the same similar methodologies because
right.
So it was a very natural segue. When you're testing for cannabis, so I'm just going to use flower, for example. So you want to be testing that flower obviously for potency. Everyone's erroneously obsessed with THC percentage. We'll get to that. It's weird, but
it is.
We'll get to that. So, they're testing for what's the percentage of THC. What are the other cannabinoids that are part,
that's what I'm always interested in.
Which is really cool, right? Because we all know about the entourage effect, and they have to play together, and so we test for that. We test for, so this is what's required, right? Potency, pesticides.
Yeah.
And
Rocco. That's Rocco in the background, everybody. Rocco is an amazing little guy, and we love him to death. So he's going to be chirping in every now and then.
He might chirp a little. Yeah. So pesticides, microbiology, which includes like fungus, mold, and all that stuff.
Right. Very important.
Very important. Heavy metals.
You think here's the problem. If somebody has a compromised immune system, and they take a product that has mold or fungus in it, there is a very high likelihood that they're going to develop an infection based on, taking in those terrible things. So it's important.
It's very important. And, for flour, we don't test for residual solvents because, it's not an extract. So it's the flour. So I just stated what we test for flour, but for extracts, distillate, live resin, all these different things, batter, shatter, all that stuff. Anything that's extracted, whether it's pressed or through CO2 or ethanol, whatever that method is, there are solvents that are used, whether it, and water is still a solvent, right? So even
in every extraction process,
in every extraction process, yep. Even so, and they call it solventless extraction. So even that, that's pressed. So that's probably the only exception. But that's another thing that's really important to test for is residual solvents, because again, you could have butane, ethanol, all of those things, and I don't think that people realize. Because we're making medicine, right? This is medicine. So it has to be pristine and it has to be superior. So those things are required, right? What's extra is testing for terpenes and testing for flavonoids. That's not required. But if they want to make claims, if they want to say, there's linalool or lavender or limonene or, any of the
terpenes, right?
Yep. Then they're going to test for terpenes. And, we've heard a lot about terpenes these past couple of years. And now flavonoids are what's coming up next. So there are not a lot of labs that test for flavonoids. We test for flavonoids. Now,
they occur in such tiny, tiny amounts within the plant, although in enough to have an effect in the entourage effect, most certainly.
Absolutely. And so it's all, but again, we have a client, they started testing for flavonoids, and I was looking at the COAs and I was like, oh my God, they're testing for flavonoids. sometimes they don't even know, right? So I'll call the marketing department. I was like, hey, you guys, you're testing for flavonoids. Like, I have all this content. Can we do stuff? And they're like, oh, we didn't know that. So then we go back to the scientists and, to their lab. And we're like, why are you testing for this? And they don't know yet. So, because they're just looking for patterns and they're looking at the data. So it's really new. And, but the thing is, flavonoids are not new. They've been around.
Flavonoids we've known about forever and ever, as I talked about in the, we've known that eating a diet rich in vegetables and fruits is a positive benefit. And now there's been studies that show that flavonoids have a definite role to play in that.
They do. And, if they regulate cellular activity and fight off free radicals that causes, the stress in the body. And what's really interesting is, there's a COVID protocol right now, which is like, that includes quercetin, which is a flavonoid that helps with inflammation. And so, it's kind of like one of those things, like if you're shopping for a red car, all of a sudden you see red cars everywhere.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I started, when I started the research on flavonoids, I was doing that and I walked in, I think it was just Walmart the other day, and there were bottles of quercetin. And I was like, wait, what?
Like, I took that as a supplement 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I had done some research and doing some healthy living, and I found, quercetin was absolutely, written up very highly favorable. And I said, wow, okay, I'm into this. And so I used that as a supplement for quite a long while.
Yep. And canaflavin B, which is another flavonoid, is said to potentially be 30 times more potent than aspirin in fighting pain. So, there's just all this really amazing, there's all these amazing benefits. But again, it's like a rock band. If they're playing in your basement and no one hears them, it doesn't matter. So we gotta start talking about this, because
that's a good one.
No one knows. No one knows.
No one knows.
No one knows. So we started a column. So we do a lot of blogging. That's one of the things I'm responsible for at ACS is content and education. So we started a Flavonoid Fridays, and we're going to do that once a month. And just like, I think you also do Terpene Tuesdays, right?
We do Terpene Tuesdays. Yeah.
So we do that. We started that as well. And it's just like a really fun way to be able to do some, short content or, to publish topics. But, I'm really excited about flavonoids, because it makes us, we are very innovative when it comes to testing and the things that we test for. And we develop these methods, and it's like, why not use them? So it gives us the ability to use the methods that we've developed. And I think it gives brands a real advantage, like cannabis brands. There goes the puppy.
Oh yeah. He's like, Mom, I hear you talking.
I know.
I hear you talking, and I want to come out.
I know. I might have to go give him a treat so that but we'll keep going. So, I think it gives cannabis brands a real advantage and something to talk about in terms of, you could make claims with flavonoids. Like we can't because they're already studied.
That's right.
So you could say, oh, and this, this flower is rich with canaflavin B or rich with quercetin, which if you've got a lot of pain and inflammation, and we know a lot of it is like, it's not that it's a placebo, but if you're reading about it and you know that you're taking in something that's going to be a benefit to you, then you all of a sudden feel better.
Can I tell you something? The placebo, discussion, I think, is a little bit of bullshit, because if something provides you relief, whether that has a direct neurochemical effect or it changes your neurochemistry of your brain by your thought patterns that you think you're going to get better, who gives a shit? Doesn't matter. It's still an effective medication.
Yeah,
that just drives me crazy. I'd love to get in that conversation.
I know.
Oh, it's a placebo effect. Yay, it worked.
The thing is, like, with flavonoids, they really add to the flavor.
Yeah.
So, terpenes are different, because a terpene is like it's like you smell it and it's like the yum. Yeah. But flavonoids is the actual flavor. So what I think is that flavonoids will be great in cannabis beverages.
Yes, which I
edibles.
partook of a nice
And
cannabis beverage yesterday.
what did you have?
I had, I think it was called Celebrate. It was
Okay.
a it was a great probably 10 ounce like carbonated. It was delicious. Really, really enjoyed it.
They're really amazing. I mean, the beverages are like, they're hard to make, they're not easy to test for because
No.
it's sometimes you have, so especially with nano, like there's just different issues. But I think beverages have a huge potential in cannabis, especially because, I think the alcohol consumption, hopefully, as people consume more cannabis, their alcohol intake
I was
normally
talking
goes
about
down.
I was talking with the dispensary owner when we were purchasing product last night, and we're in Massachusetts. It's a rec state and a medical state as well. And we were talking to him about that, and that's exactly what he was saying. He says, when I started, I didn't use cannabis after college, and then I, got into this business, and I started to utilize it again. And what I noticed was, I have a couple of drinks before bed every night. During the week, I have a couple of drinks. I noticed that um, if I use a little cannabis, I don't have that second drink. So my drinking is decreased and I'm sleeping better and it's just better all the way around. And I said, yeah, that's what I hear from a lot of people. And I think that's fabulous. I mean, anytime we can decrease the alcohol consumption,
Yeah.
you know,
Well, and what's interesting is like some of the biggest lobbies right now for cannabis are coming out of the liquor industry. So like you have Constellation Brands, you've got,
uh-huh.
and it's interesting, because you got to follow the money and then you can see,
It's always follow the money, isn't it?
yeah, you can
Always.
see they know Marlboro, right? Like
Yeah.
tobacco companies are getting into hemp. So you
Yep.
can see, so it's kind of like if you can't beat them, join them,
Totally.
because they know like it's going down. So
Yep.
it's interesting. The other thing that I wanted to add about THC potency and this unfounded obsession with THC potency, right?
Right.
So they
Right.
look at
People look
people
at
are
it and
like,
they say,
how
man, if
much
it doesn't have
THC? Oh,
28 or
20, yeah.
30%,
But the thing is, the truth is if it doesn't have a rich terpene profile and flavonoid profile, but a lot, we're not there yet. People can't check flavonoids yet just because we're not testing, like,
right.
very few are
All the
testing for
way
flavonoids.
across.
Right. But I think most cannabis brands have started testing for terpenes. So,
I would hope to God they are.
I hope so too. But again,
My
because
gosh.
it's not required,
No,
sometimes, they just do what's required.
of
So,
course.
the terpenes are like the steering wheel, for the THC. And it's like, and they tell it where to go. And so you could have 13% THC, but if you have a really rich terpene profile,
Yeah.
you're going to feel amazing. And
Right.
and if you have like not a lot of terpenes, a low terpene profile, and you
Yeah.
have a high THC, you're just sort of like it's like
Yeah.
the high kind
Well,
of has
I mean,
nowhere to go,
that's when you get into,
and
this,
it's short.
you get
It's
into the
short.
discussion about, indica versus sativa. And, I mean, that nomenclature should just go out the window now. It's just, it's outdated. So it
Yeah.
really does come down to the terpene flavonoid profile
Yep.
along with the THC because Delta 9 THC is the same, whether it's in an indica or a sativa. And that's just what they've used for marketing purposes. I think now, I think it's much more important to see the COA, the certificate of analysis in a full panel certificate of analysis that has
Yes.
all of the different constituent components. That's when you're going to see the ability to dial in cannabis as a medicine and really be able to utilize. And I'll tell a story real quick. I was at a conference in Israel, and top researchers are in Israel, right? So they were presenting on it, and I think it was, gosh, it was scientist Didi, like Didi Miri, I think is his last name. Great guy. Was talking about how he had a case of working with a child with autism, and it was a young boy, adolescent, who was very violent and had to be removed from the home, and the parents were very sad. They found a particular cannabis variety that worked for that child. decrease the agitation and aggression, was able to live at home with his family. Everything was fine. It was wonderful. The company that produced that variety somehow had a bad crop, and they didn't have any product for that kid. They tried something that looked similar on a panel, but they didn't do a full panel, right? It didn't work. The child had to be removed again, attacked the mom, put the mom in the hospital, had to be removed from the home again. Once they got that child back on that same exact variety, same results, aggression gone, child at home, family good. So, damn it, we need to have testing down to that nth degree.
And that's such a good example, because people, I mean, I don't know, back in the day, when I started smoking cannabis, it was like there were two kinds. There were rags, or there was like sexy mexy, and it's like you didn't really have a choice. It's kind of like, what kind of weed is it? It's weed. Here you go. Like that's
right,
like
exactly.
And then we started to get like Thai stick, and different, and then we would refer to it as like the region that it came from,
Right. Colombian red, Acapulco
Gold. Acapulco Gold. Yep. Like that. And so the COA, and so that kind of let you know how you were going to feel, but we still didn't know. I think I'm going to have to go give him a treat. He's freaking out.
Yeah. No, you know what? We're almost done anyway. Rocco needs your love, babe.
Right.
Needs your love.
No, I'll wait. If we're almost done, I'll wait. So what I was going to say is, so we kind of knew what we were going to get, but you didn't really know what you were going to get. And sometimes we didn't know, like, why sometimes it make you sleepy, or sometimes it would make you paranoid. So we didn't know. It's just like a crapshoot. But with the COA, it really allows you to know exactly how you're going to feel when you consume that strain. So just like you look at a prescription bottle and you know exactly how you're going to feel every time you take that pill, that's the same thing. You know exactly how you're going to feel. So if you know that you want to relax, you want to look for linalool, right? If you know that you want to be up, you look for limonene. So that's how the terpenes are really like, that's the barometer. And
I agree.
And patients really need to understand how to read COAs. So it's really cool to be able to educate on that. Doctors need to be able to understand how to read them.
Yes.
So that they can tell
their
patients.
Most definitely.
I mean, and think about what people go through. And I love this part of what I do, which is like, I call it patient navigation, where people will call me and they'll just be like, I have this, and this. What strain should I get? And I'm like, well, I always start, well, I'm not a doctor, but, and then I teach them. And people are just, their minds are blown. They're just like, thank you so much. Because the choices are mind numbing, how many different products there are.
My God, you walk into a dispensary. How do you know what to look for? You don't. So you're right. It's about education. It's about understanding the certificate of analysis and understanding over time, what works for you, really. So amazing.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Yeah.
And now Rocco's like, I'm tired. I don't want to talk anymore.
I want to just kind of give a shout out for this other project that we just launched, it's called Canna Familia, which is, it's a channel to teach Spanish speaking people about cannabis, because it's really highly stigmatized.
Yes.
In those communities.
And because they were persecuted for so damn long. Of course it's stigmatized.
And it's really interesting when you start at that level and explaining to people about the medicine. If you go that deep immediately, it's like their eyes light up,
Yeah.
And I don't speak Spanish, but I have an amazing Spanish team. And so we wrote a TV show, and we sold it to True Leaf. And so we filmed 6 episodes, 6 half-hour episodes. Each one has like a patient story, and then it has a cooking segment, and then maybe like a beauty segment or something else, and then a little education about a product. And it airs on Mega TV on Saturday mornings at 9:30, and then there's like 2 other channels that it airs at night, and then we have a YouTube channel and all of that. And what I really want, and I'm just going to put this out in the world, is to be able to create movies TV shows where the plant is the hero, you know, where you're telling where you're experiencing the plant as a beneficial thing, where it's, you know, you're consuming it, it's helping you with your health. The plant is part of the story, you know, and you're telling the story. And as opposed to, you know, where for so many years it was just stigmatized and villainized.
80 plus
things are going
years.
to change.
Yeah.
You know, and I think if you think, you know, if you think that there's only one way to educate,
We talked about it in the Daily Love. There's so many possibilities. So many unlimited possibilities. Amazing. That sounds just, I love the fact that you're addressing the Hispanic community, because, you know, it's one of the communities that was persecuted through this war on drugs, and cannabis, of course, would become very stigmatized because it's associated with going to jail, because you're going to jail if you're not white. And so at the end of the day, Masha, you're doing great work. Love it. Love to hear all about it. Thanks for coming on and giving us your perspective.
This was fun. Thank you.
You know, we're gonna wrap it up here, and of course, I've got to mention every day we have a great community, the Green Nurse Holistic Caring Community. It's open to everybody. Anyone who wants to join the community can pop in. There's some free cannabis education. Elizabeth Mack put together this amazing curriculum of programming that you can have access to if you'd like, depending on where you are in the marketplace. If you're a consumer, if you are a healthcare professional, somewhere in the coaching space, if you want to know how to add cannabis to your practice, this is the place to go. If you're a consumer, if you want to know just a little bit more and have access to talking to people who can answer some questions for you and, you know, kind of help ease your mind as to using cannabis as a medicine. Guess what? No matter how you're using it, recreationally or medically, you're using it as a medicine. Of course you are. We're just self-medicating, which is
it's all medical.
Amazing. You know? It's all medical. It's amazing. The minute that plant gets in your body, it's a medicine. Yeah. Yep. So join us in the community. You're really going to love it.
I will. Thank you.
And so I think, oh my God, I think Nurse Sherry, my love, is going to be back on Monday morning. This is going to be fun. The nurseMARK and the Green Nurse are going to be back in the seats. But this week has been just a blast because I had some guests, and Masha, having you on has been amazing. You know, I just absolutely love you, and I really appreciate all that you do. And so thanks for being the guest co-host today and giving us a little bit of education.
Thank you for everything you do. I mean, it's amazing. It's just
we have
the
fun.
Enthusiasm and the energy, and it's contagious. So thank you.
Yeah. Thanks. All right, folks. Love you guys. Thanks for stopping by. It's always great to see the same people pop in and then some new faces. Oh my gosh, this is how we build community. I'm so glad that you're here. Now, go out, have an AFA day. I didn't even talk about that. That each one of you is absolutely fucking amazing, exactly as you are. You don't have to get another degree. You don't have to have a certain relationship. You're absolutely amazing at your core. Go into the world today with that knowledge and see what happens on this fantastic Flavonoid Friday. All right, folks, we'll catch you on Monday morning. Have a great weekend.